Welcome back to Good Day Saturday. Thanks for waking up with us this morning. I'm Scarlett Grayson. One man has stirred up quite a bit of controversy after posting a personal ad that describes his dream girl. Now, this ad is not only very specific and chauvinistic, a lot of people are calling it racist, and for good reason. Romeo Rose is here with us today to tell us more about his personal ad and what he's looking for most, but most importantly, if there's anything that you want to retract from previous statements that you've made in the media. So, Romeo, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So let's start off with, for those of you who have not seen some of his requirements, if you will, in his personal ad, here you go. Here's the first one. I like girls that are 130 pounds or less. Of course, weight needs to be in proportion to their height. As long as they aren't considered overweight, they should be fine. So the first thing that I want to ask you is, did you really think it was necessary to put 130 pounds on the dot?
No, it wasn't that necessary at all. It was kind of silly, really, if you think about it. If you stop and think about it, you know, it's like it makes you look like a very negative person. You're like a lot of magazines, these modeling magazines, and in a way, it just adds to the same kind of pressure that those magazines make girls feel, you know, as they're growing up. Like, if you don't fit this thing right here, then you're not beautiful. But there's, you know, all kinds of beautiful, you know, and it makes, you know, I realize looking back, it makes me look more superficial because I wrote it in a rush, in like 20 minutes, so I kind of focused on a little bit too much of one thing and didn't really put enough emphasis on all the other things, you know, that's important. You know, it's like when two people come together, there might be like a little bit of desire or lust there in the initial, but then what really happens, you know, is the woman or guy falls in love with who they are as a person, and they become more attractive as time goes on, usually.
Thank you for straightening that out for some of us that I think we're a little upset at 130 pounds. So the next one, let's go ahead and get it up on the screen. I will not date a black girl. I don't care if she looks like Halle Berry. I will not ever date a black girl. Now, there are a number of offensive racist comments that you have made, not only on your website, but also in other interviews with the media, and you know, you spoke with me earlier saying that you might want to rephrase some of the things. Now, is this one of the things that you want to rephrase, or?
Yeah, I would still, I'm not changing what I'm attracted to personally, but there was not really, it could have been worded a lot differently, and a lot of stuff could have just been left out altogether. You know, the best thing to do, as I believe that positive attracts positive, and whatever you put out to the world, that people want to be around positive and happy people, and if you're positive and happy, that's going to attract you. But if you're just pointing out a lot of negative things, then they get the misconception of you because they think you're a negative person when you may not be that negative. You're just negative in that moment, but that text on a screen is what's going to live on for eternity or however long that website's up, you know. So it would have been much better not to have even really mentioned it like that, in that way.
Absolutely. So that's something that, you know, I mean, yes, everybody does have their personal preference. You definitely, I am not going to lie, have said some very offensive racist comments on other interviews that we don't want to go into here. Absolutely not. But we do want to address some of the things that I know that you feel you've personally misled people in, you know, your beliefs.
The only thing I'd like to say to that, without going into it, is that I never intentionally meant anything to sound racism, because I don't have any hatred towards anybody. I feel like there's good people and bad people in every race, you know, and there's somebody out there for everybody, you know. It's like, just because one person doesn't see you as the next greatest thing doesn't mean, you know, look at you. I think a person should look at it, if someone doesn't see you as something great, then that's their loss, you know.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't let someone else bring down your confidence or whatever.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and bring up the next comment. We've got, I prefer a woman that has never had children because having kids does ruin a woman's body oftentimes. So, ruins a woman's body. Now, after talking to you, you've got a very philosophical way of approaching things and your speech and everything like that, and that's, you know, great and all, but philosophically, I feel like a woman's birth is natural. So, you're saying that it ruins a woman's body, so I guess, well, shoot, it's the natural way of life. I mean, what do you have to kind of go into detail on that comment, if you will?
Well, I mean, that comment was pretty superficial, really, you know. I mean, it probably wasn't really that necessary because, you know, I'm not going to totally say that there isn't ever any negative superficial effects to a woman that gives birth, depending on how many kids, or, I mean, like that lady Octomom or whatever. I mean, you know, things probably isn't exactly the same, no offense, but I mean, you know, it's like, it wasn't a very good thing to put on a website because it's going to make women feel self-conscious, or it's going to just make them hate you for no reason over something that's so trivial and something that probably doesn't even matter. And you know, like, so what is that supposed to mean? If you meet a woman and things go well and you become intimate and you don't notice she has a kid, would you really even know? You know, necessarily, you know? A lot of women, you know, work out and take care of themselves, and when they have a kid, you can't tell, you know, so how would you really know? It's just like, it goes back to the black woman thing where a lot of people brought it to my attention. What if a woman has like 1% or 2% black in her, but they call it what they call passing. It's a term that they use to describe that. I'm like, well, I'm just talking about superficially what I see in the skin tones. It's nothing to do with if a woman had 2% black in her and I found out about that later, it wouldn't bother me at all. I wouldn't love her any less, you know, because it's got nothing to do with the race. It's superficial stuff, you know.
Well, Romeo, I'm actually very glad that we did have you on the show because I think that there's been a lot of negativity, and I do think that you've made a lot of mistakes when you've been in the media. Agree?
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes,
you have. So, and there you have it. I mean, he has retracted a lot of the statements that he's made. We did give him the chance to come on the show. I know a lot of viewers were kind of skeptical about it, but we also have a relationship expert and professional matchmaker join us just in a few minutes to see if posting a detailed list of your ideal partner is a good idea. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, Romeo.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Good Day Saturday. So let's start off. Do you have an ideal, perfect, dream, one-of-a-kind, textbook partner in mind that you just have to find? Well, Romeo Rose is offering $1,500 for such a woman to anyone that can find her. He actually created a website listing off the qualities his girl needs to possess, but are they realistic? Relationship expert and professional matchmaker Julia McCurley is here with us today to tell us it's a good idea to write a detailed list like this online. Julia, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. I've been dying to talk to you.
Thank you.
Your reputation precedes yourself. My first question is, why did you not mention one thing about what you have to offer somebody?
It was really just a rush job, but you're right. I should have put that in there first instead of trying to tell people what you want. It's better to tell them what you can give them. You know, it's like getting a job. You don't say, hey, how much money are you going to give me? It should be about what can I do for you, so that way it would create a want and a desire for them to have you in their life.
Well, maybe you were really tired when you wrote that because it's totally backfiring on you.
It is.
Yes.
He sounded like he was saying that he wrote it very quickly. He wrote it very quickly. So
yeah.
What else did he do wrong in that article?
In my 5 years of being a professional matchmaker in Austin, putting together tons of couples that are happily married, not one person, male or female, came in asking for somebody closed-minded. That's how you come across. Is there other people that feel the same way you do? I'm sure there are, but that has little or nothing to do with romantic attraction. Don't you know some couples that agree to disagree, like one person's pro-life, one person's anti-gay, but they still had that connection.
Yes.
And they did not let that shadow or overshadow the potential.
Exactly.
But what you've done by putting all those things online, it just is presenting you in a negative light, which I know you're not. I'm sure you have lots of wonderful, loving qualities. I believe everybody deserves happiness, and I certainly think you do, regardless of the backlash that you're getting. I just think we need to definitely do some image PR campaign on you.
What can you do better? I mean, what can you do? I mean, we have all of these different matchmaking websites.
Yes.
And people are putting up what they like, what they want. So I think that's kind of where he was going with it, but you went way overboard, dude. You went way overboard.
Yes, I have no problems with the visual part either. I do agree with Scarlett, the weight thing. Men would be surprised about how much women weigh. Like, some guy thought my daughter weighed 90 pounds. I'm like, no, she weighs 115. She's 5'3". That's a 130-pound woman on like 5'8" will look anorexic. Okay, if you want height weight proportionate, that's fine. You want somebody no tattoos, no piercings, fine. You're only attracted to a certain race, fine. I hear that every day, all day long. So I would not say that's wrong of you to do that, but I just think you need to reframe it better. I'm looking for somebody beautiful, successful. She's kind, generous, looking for a long-term relationship. What I do is screen for those other things, right? Like when my clients come to me with some list, I'm not going to put a broadcast out. Okay, don't call me if you don't have if you have a tattoo. No, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinions, to how they want to look, and you have a preference.
Right, and are you, I know you created this really long list, but earlier we just had a little segment. Are you open-minded to any of these things that you've said? I mean,
I am open-minded, like almost everything up for that on that list is up for rethinking or, you know, an exception to be made, you know, because if somebody is a great woman and has a great heart and everything, you just overlook things. And sometimes a person or something that you see is not something that you like so great, or a person, flaw is probably the wrong word to use, but you just sometimes you fall more in love as time goes on with the things that you didn't think you were going to like at first, you know?
Do you want to know what I would do with you, Romeo?
What?
First of all, I would tell you, you got to change your geographic requirements. That's ridiculous to find love in a zip code. Okay, your perfect woman could be living up north. Does she want to? No. She moved to town. She's working at Round Rock. Austin's got the 4th worst traffic in the nation. Secondly, I think you need a haircut, and we need to do image consultation. I know this is unsolicited advice, but I'd like to like repackage you.
I do need a haircut. I was growing it out a little longer on purpose, but I do need a haircut.
You need to open your mind, open your heart, and the thing about judging and where people live, I hear that a lot, and it's just not true.
Well, I really appreciate that is the time that we have right now, but I do appreciate that both of you have come on the show. I know you've been getting a lot of negative publicity, and you know, this was a chance for Romeo to come on and say if he would retract any of his statements, and he has actually. So if you did not get the chance to hear some of his things, we'll have posted a lot of what we said today and some of the advice that professional matchmaker Julie McCurley has offered him today. But thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.